This is how dark it is in my house right now. I need the grow lights for me at this point. Hello friends, and welcome back to my channel. Today I want to talk about a little experiment I did regarding grow lights. So I've been thinking about this for a while. Like, I have a lot of grow lights, 17 grow lights throughout my house. I have a few more that aren't plugged in / aren't lighting stuff at the minute, but I have 17 active grow lights at the minute, which is quite a lot. They are covering a lot of plants, especially this time of year when there's not that many hours of sunlight, and when there is sunlight, it's like, I say sunlight, it's probably cloudy or raining or something, so my plants in general aren't getting that much light. Grow lights are kind of a big crutch for me during these winter months especially. And I was curious to see how much running this many grow lights was costing me, especially with the sort of energy crisis and the cost of living crisis going on right now. I was curious to see how much I could be saving if I wasn't running these grow lights all the time. So I have done a little experiment that I'm going to share with you today. If you are new here and you don't know me already, my name is Emma and I make houseplanty content all over the internet, so if you want to follow along with my houseplanty journey and maybe learn something along the way, stick around, watch some more of my videos, and subscribe to my channel. If you're not new here, thank you so much for coming back. I really appreciate it. I hope you enjoy this video as well. Really quick, editing Emma here. I just wanted to say that I know this video is a bit on the longer side, but there is tons and tons of great information here, from like my grow light schedule to each of the different grow lights I have and sort of what I think about them, how I have them set up, how long they are on throughout the day, and a whole bunch of other great stuff, as well as how I'm feeling about my grow lights being on or off during specific times, and showing you the sort of difference in lighting throughout the time of my experiment. So there's tons of information. If you do want to skip directly to the results, it'll probably be somewhere here along the timestamps. I've chaptered it so you can get to different parts easily. But yeah, thank you so much for watching and I really hope you enjoy. Right, let's go back a couple days to when I started this experiment. Good morning, friends. It is day one of my little test. And this morning I went downstairs when we were going to the gym to have a look at the number on my electricity meter thing. And my plan is to check tomorrow at the exact same time, and then again the following day to see how much electricity I use throughout. Today, as you can see, my grow lights are on. This is my normal schedule. I'm not going to add anything extra in. I'm going to keep the lights on as I normally do, and I figured I'd explain to you what lights I'm using and when and where and why. So like my typical schedule, I actually have a lot of grow lights on throughout the day, and they're all, except for one, on smart timery things to make sure that they go on at the right time of day. The ones that come on first, so at 6:30 in the morning, I have 3 sets of grow lights go on. My entire Milsbo cabinet, my entire Rudsta cabinet, and then one of the lights on my bedroom shelves. And we use that light to help us wake up in the morning at 6:30 because that's the time we get up so we can go to the gym before work, or if Joe is going into the office, that's what time he needs to get up to go into the office. So we wake up at 6:30 every day with a grow light shining, not quite in our faces, but like it's bright. It's one of the mother ones, and so it like really illuminates the zone, and they stay on throughout the rest of the day. Those are the first main ones, and I kind of use them in the house to like wake up, and so it's not just dark. I hate turning on my overhead lights, and especially the ones throughout our flat. They're very like cool toned, so they're not the kind of vibes that I want first thing in the morning. Like a blinding overhead room light isn't the vibe that I want. So having the like cabinets on kind of just like gives the room enough light to see without being blinding and bright and awful. So that's kind of how we use them there. The next set of lights, I probably should have changed these, but at this point it's just what it is. are the alcoves in my bedroom. Those come on automatically at 10, and that's been going on for like a year now almost. Because I was doing the light experiment in there. I'll attach clickable eye, the video that I did where I was testing the mother grow lights in these alcoves that like basically had no light, and so I was having them come on at 10 a.m. and go off at 10 p.m. when all the lights go off, so that I could like really test the lights for 12 hours a day. Like let the plants get 12 hours of light and 12 hours of dark, because those corners like really don't get much. And then other than that, all of the rest of the grow lights in the flat come on in the afternoon. And one thing that I really like about the smart plugs that I have is that I can set them to come on an hour before sunset, or a certain amount of time before or after sunset or sunrise or whatever. Like I think it's hooked up to Google or something, because I use it through the Google Home app, and I can say, okay, I want the lights to come on at sunset, or I do it an hour before sunset, because that's when it's typically starting to get dark, especially in the UK. It's freaking dark, and so Google knows what time the sunset is, and it will automatically switch on all of the lights an hour before that, which currently the sun is setting at like 3 p.m. and so the lights are coming on at 2, maybe even earlier. But that's because it's like we're deep in winter right now. Like the days are very short, and so those come on then. And I like that because it can change throughout the year without me having to switch it, because it's quite annoying when like the seasons change. I don't want to have to be adjusting my lights constantly to be a specific time, and because they're all on that like, because they're all like weather dependent, not weather dependent, sunset dependent, it makes my life a lot easier, and I don't need to change them throughout the year, which is awesome. And so I really like that, and I highly suggest that sort of system for somebody else. It's just nice to have the lights turn on like that every day, and it kind of tells me that it's getting dark as well, which is funny. And then all of the lights stay on all day until 10 p.m. when they all go off automatically. That's like signaling to me that it is bedtime. If I'm not in bed already reading, it tells me I need to get to bed now. I'm a grandma, I like to go to bed. I like to be in bed well before 10 and do some reading. And yeah, and they just stay on for different amounts of time in different places. But that's kind of the gist of my schedule. The one light that I have that isn't on a smart meter, I sometimes turn it on every day, I sometimes don't. It kind of when I remember it. It is the one in my bedroom that does the shelves above our bed. That one, it goes on when I put it on, and it turns off when I turn it off, which is probably turning off at 10 p.m. and I'll probably switch it on sometime in the morning or mid-afternoon. It really depends on how I'm feeling, but it's not something that stays regular. For the purposes of this video, I have turned it on at this point, so it is on all day, so we can really see the like cost overall. So yeah, that is the basis of my light schedule. I will keep you updated about things throughout the day, and like just when lights are going on and whatever, show you that kind of thing. And I can talk more about them, like, and what each of the lights is as well throughout this video. So yeah, cool. Doing great. That was a lot of talking there. So this is the grow light that wakes Joe and I up in the morning. It is a Mother Plant Spectrum 32 grow light that I've just mounted on the wall up here with the wall mounts, and it's facing at these sort of shelves that we have over our sort of dressing table here. These plants seem to like the light quite a lot. I genuinely don't think anything would be able to grow here if there was not a grow light here. And so they are perfectly happy. It's on for the maximum amount of like 15.5 hours at the minute. So it is a really good grow light, and I would definitely suggest it. And it makes a really bright environment for us to wake up to in the morning, which helps me get up, that's for sure. And I think it helps Joe get up as well. This is my IKEA Milsbo cabinet. This is one of the ones that comes on right away in the morning, and I have 2 grow lights in this thing, one on the top there and one underneath the shelf, so both halves are getting illuminated. Both of these lights are the HOT5 24-watt grow lights. Excuse my fungus gnat traps, they're just living on there. And these are fluorescent ones, and I think they have worked really well for me in my IKEA cabinet. They are allowing my plants to grow really well. I've still got some sun stress on my Hoyas, and what's it, this one's the really sun stressed one there, and this one as well is getting nicely sun stressed. So they are enough to sun stress some Hoyas, but they are also not too bright. If you have really high light needing plants, I probably wouldn't suggest the HOT5s, even though I'm pretty sure you can't even get them anymore because I haven't been able to find them on the internet for a while, and I probably wouldn't get them again just because I prefer an LED grow light because it will be a little bit more energy efficient than a fluorescent one would be long term. Here is my Rudsta grow cabinet, and in it has an Arcadia Jungle Dawn grow light. It looks pretty similar in form to the HOT5 24 watts, but it is an LED in there instead, which means it will be a bit more energy efficient. This light is super duper bright. It is keeping my plants very happy. My jungle cactus is growing a lot right now, and it is sun stressing my Hoyas as well. So it is super bright. That's why I have things a little bit more pulled back from it. They're not super duper close unless they're like the super high light loving plants at the top. So it is a really good grow light. This is the grow light I've had the least amount of time, so I can't really speak about it as much as I could potentially speak about others I've had in my collection, but it is a great grow light, and I would definitely recommend it if you've not tried one. I think once my HOT5 fluorescent ones die, I'll probably end up replacing them with the Jungle Dawn or something similar because I do quite like them, and they're a little bit more on the expensive side, but not as expensive as Mother ones, so it's a good in-between, and you can get them on Amazon, which I find quite helpful. This one here is the Pianta light from Grow Gang. It isn't quite as bright as the SANSI bulbs, and that's why I have it here as opposed to in the living room where I needed a bulb that goes a little bit further. I'll talk about that a little bit down the line. But it just is giving these plants a little bit more light than they would typically get. Like I said, I don't turn this light on every day. It is just one that I turn on when I want to. But I think even this like Pothos Enjoy is getting light from it. You can see some of these leaves are facing towards it instead of the window, which is on that side. So these ones aren't really getting anything from it, but I think up to the Pothos, it is benefiting these plants up here. So it is 10 o'clock. There's Joe and Cleo. It is 10 a.m. and those lights have just turned on, as well as the ones there. These lights here are the Plant Spectrum 16 grow lights from Mother, and I honestly really love them. Like I said, you can go watch the experiment, and basically plants would not have been able to grow in these alcoves without these lights. And it doesn't necessarily have to be these lights, but I really enjoy the Mother ones. I think they look really nice. And they are probably the sleekest grow lights. They're like grow lights that don't look like grow lights, they just look like lights. And they're nice and pretty. These ones here are quite low down and close to the plants. I'd say like, what, 30 centimeters there? Like, what, 10 centimeters there? But because these are quite high highlight plants, I'm not including them in Julepothos. This is just here because it needed a place to go, and I'm sure it probably likes being so close to a grow light. But these plants here do need quite a lot of highlight in order to grow. They prefer full sun all day, but because I can't give them that, giving them tons and tons of grow light makes the most sense. Down here, I think these ones on the second shelf, they are getting a little bit of light from here, but this light also comes on at 2:30, which covers the prop box there, which probably does need more light because it's not getting anything really from outside, as well as this shelf. It's like supplemented by both, so they're getting some light all day from the mother light, and then some light at 2ish when these ones are going on at the minute. This side, the light is slightly higher from the shelf, but it's because I've got some bigger plants in here. These are ones that don't necessarily need tons and tons of light. They're probably really liking the light. Like, I know my amplissimum is growing like quite large leaves. Goodness, that's blown out. But it's growing quite large leaves because of it. I think the mistletoe cactus is going to love that being there, but the Sansevieria and the ZZ don't really need it, and I've got an Epipremnum kind of sitting there awkwardly. But yeah, this is the other plant spectrum 16, and the plants like it. They don't need it. This one, I feel like these plants could get away with not having this light on all the time, but I like having it on just so it matches, so it's symmetrical, which is just me being weird. But yeah, I could probably turn it off, but I don't want to. So it is 2 o'clock right now. Hi again, Joe. Basically every other light in my flat is now on. So let's go have a look at what they all are and what they're doing and what plants they're around. So these are the lights you probably see on the most often, aside from the cabinet lights. I do tend to just put these lights on sometimes when it's dark. These are the lights that are on in the evening in our flat instead of the overhead lights, which, like I say, I barely ever turn on. This one here is a SANSI 36 bulb, and as you can see, it is very bright. It is kind of very close to my variegated monstera, and I think that is helping make it grow quite well. It did just pop out that leaf, which is very white but also very happy, so that's good. And this light kind of also travels quite far, so I think it does give some illumination to this area as well. Not tons, and it doesn't look like it from this angle, but there's definitely some light coming from there. And then this area also has a plant spectrum light. This is the plant spectrum 32. I used to have a 16 here, and that was fine, but it was only kind of going to there, so not really giving much light to anything up there. Now that it's the 32, it gives light to pretty much this whole area. Even the Calathea up there is getting lots of light. My Glorious is getting tons of light. And again, I really love these lights. They look sleek. It doesn't look like an obtrusive grow light from here. Not that any of them are really obtrusive in my home, but I feel like these ones look the very least obtrusive in my opinion. So these lights have also turned on my entire plant shelves here, including those gooseneck lights and the Hectar IKEA lamp, which is full of SANSI 36 bulbs as well. So this has 3 36 bulbs. 2 of them are pointing at the Pink Princess. One of them is pointing at the top of the Rudsta cabinet. It is a very bright corner. And then on the shelves, I have 3 of these fluorescent HOT5 24 watt lights. They are okay. In the end, I don't think I would go with fluorescent lights again. They are bright, but not as bright as some of the other ones, like not as bright as the Jungle Dawn lights, but they cover these small shelves quite well. And my prop boxes down there have one. And then at the top is a gooseneck grow light that I just got from Amazon. Honestly, it's nothing special, and I'm not the biggest fan of the yellow light it puts out, but it's fine, and I think my plants up here are liking it anyways, so I'm definitely not upset about it. I just think it's not my favorite. It's just a bit too yellow for my taste personally. So it's nighttime now. It is well dark outside. Joe's just reading a magazine, and this is kind of the light situation. I just think this is a lot more ambient light, and just kind of gives the whole home like a warm glow. Maybe not warm in like light temperature, but just a bit of a glow, which I really like. And so this is how it will be until about 10 o'clock tonight, when all of these lights will switch off. It looks surprisingly bright in here. I'm just sitting in bed. I was reading. It is 10 o'clock, and so the lights have just gone off all throughout the entire flat, and that means I'm going to bed. I have one light on still, the one I have to put on manually, and I am gonna turn that off and go to sleep now. I will see you tomorrow morning. Good night. Good morning. Oh my goodness. I think the camera is really confused about this light because I look really well lit because I'm in front of the window. But back there, it is freaking dark. So today is day 2 of my experiment. The day where I don't turn on the grow lights all day. And it is making me so sad. Like, I really like the grow lights. Like I said, I use them as lights in my home. And since today is like quite a dreary day weather-wise, it's like gray outside. It's been a bit on and off rainy. It's dark. And I know it's not like, I don't know, it's not late or early, it's like 10 a.m. at this point, but it's just, it's probably as bright as it's gonna get outside today, and this is the state of inside, which I think is not ideal for me. And like, my cabinet, it just looks so sad, all dark. Like, I can't even see the plants, and it makes me, like, I just don't get to appreciate them as much as I would if I had the lights on. I think the lights like help show them. So yeah, I don't like it being this dark. It makes me sad. And so yeah, let me show you around kind of what it's looking like without this sort of like really intense contrast of my face, which is very pale, so very bright. So this is the living room just as my camera is picking it up, and the camera makes it look so much brighter than it is. Like, let me see if I can adjust it to what I feel like it looks like with my eyes. Yeah, so it looks about like that with my eyes, which is very, very dark. Like, this whole area kind of gets lost. You're only seeing the leaves there because they're variegated, so they're brighter. And like in the cabinet, because it's glass, it's basically all just reflecting the light from the window, which means I can't even really see my plants. I can see the yellow sticky traps because there's a lot of contrast there, but otherwise I'm just not seeing them. And it's, I don't know, it's just very dreary, and it's lowering my motivation for sure. It's making me like not want to do anything and just like curl up in bed and stay there because it's so dark. And I don't know. I don't like it. It's also super dark in here. Like, you can see the camera's adjusting to like make it better to see, but like this area, these plants get like basically nothing when there's no light, especially when it's like gray outside like it is today. We're getting nothing here. It's just so dark and gloomy. These things here, again, like the window's right there, and this is still so dark. I think about there is what my eyes see. Maybe it's a little bit lighter, like that. But these sort of highlight plants here that I've got here because of the grow light, which is normally on them, they are going to absolutely suffer in this long term. I mean, for a day, it's going to be fine. It's not a problem. I'm not worried about them for a day. But long term, my plants, I think, would be not happy here, and I'd have to like massively rearrange to put them all like properly in front of the window, because this is not a light situation that would work long term. it is sunny if you could not see. But when it's sunny like this, I don't mind not having the grow lights on. Like in the summer, if it's sunny at it's just after 2 right now, so the grow lights technically would be on right now, and I might turn them off on like an average day if it's like this sort of bright and sunny out. It only just got sunny. It was raining about an hour ago and cloudy up until then, so like I probably would have put the grow lights on in the morning because it was just so dark and dismal, and having the light kind of helps motivate me throughout the day. But if it ever gets sunny in the afternoon, I do tend to turn my grow lights off. I mean, it's not giving the plants tons and tons of light, but it's better than none. And it's probably gonna go away in about half an hour. But like, this is manageable and nice and bright, and when it is sunny, it is quite nice and bright in here. It's just when it's cloudy, it gets really gloomy, and that's when I want to put the grow lights on more. And even still, like, my cabinet, even when it's sunny, like, this doesn't get much light. This isn't getting any sun right now. It's only coming, this is hard light for me, but like, it's coming in through the window here, which ends, like, the window ends, and this whole area ends up being quite dark. So it's one of those things, and if it were sunny like this all the time, we'd like it, but it's not. So it's good that today's a little bit sunny, so it's not just complete darkness in my day without grow lights, because otherwise I would be sad. Anyways, I'll update you when it gets dark, because sunset's in just under 2 hours, so we'll see. So it is 3:45, and Joe just goes, "It's so dark in here." And I say, yes, it is. This is how dark it is in my house right now, and the only reason you can see my face is because I'm facing towards the window. And it is just, it's really dismal, and I just really don't want to turn on the big light because I don't like it. It doesn't create a cozy atmosphere. Like, here, let me show you what it would look like if I turned on the big light. It's like, this isn't how I like to go about my life. It's not good to film with. It's just not nice. I don't know. I mean, it's fine, and like, it'll do the job. And I feel like at this point we need light in here, because I was literally sitting in the dark editing a video, which, like, I couldn't read in the light I was in. And I feel like that's what we need to go off of, what I could read in. And so I'm turning the lights on, because if I didn't have the grow lights on, I would need some sort of lights on. So the lights are on. It's not even dark outside yet, and it's dark. It's dark inside. So you don't like it either, baby, do you? It's not normally this bright, because I have the nice ambient lights on, isn't it? This is gonna wake you up, having this big light on. Oh my god, this lighting's awful. Excuse my wet hair. Just got back from the gym, and Joe and I are cooking dinner, but I've just sat down to like get the TV on so we can watch TV with dinner, and I've realized that we need to have the top lights on, and like, this is such a terrible light to watch TV in. Like, imagine watching, I mean, I'm sure people do it all the time. I've just gotten so used to such ambient light that I can control very easily from the couch. Yeah, I am not a fan, and I feel like it feels too like medical, these lights. And I know I could probably change the bulbs to something less cool toned, but they're already in there. I don't want to waste what exists already. Like, I don't think that's fair. So it is what it is, and I only need to do this for this evening. Oh my god. It is so freaking dark, so I'm just hanging out in the bedroom with 2 lamps on. These are the only 2 lamps in my flat that are not grow lights, that aren't the overhead lights. I'm just sitting editing some videos. It's honestly too dark to do much more than that. I just can't stand sitting in the living room with the like big light on. It just feels too hospital-y almost. Yeah, so I'm just gonna chill in here and edit until I have to go to bed. So I will see you tomorrow. So this morning I took my final meter reading in this sort of 2-day test, and I found out how much electricity I used yesterday on the day that I did not have my grow lights on. So I thought I would kind of share with you the results from this whole thing and kind of talk about my conclusions, my thoughts, just like what I feel about this whole thing, because I have opinions. So before I started this whole thing, my first reading, our like starting point, was 39627 kilowatt hours. After I had run my grow lights all day, I had used 39640 kilowatt hours. Another 24 hours passed, the 24 hours where I did not use my grow lights. I was just using overhead lights, etc. The number on the meter read 39648. That is a definite difference in numbers. Like on the first day when I was using grow lights, I used 13 kilowatt hours, whereas on the day that I had them off, I only used 8. So there is like a 5 kilowatt hour difference in the amount that I used. Currently, the current rate of electricity, what we're being charged per kilowatt hour on our electricity, is 35 pence. So that is me using £4.55 on the day I used the grow lights and only £2.80 on the days I didn't. So that's like a £1.75 difference, which is pretty, like, it's not something to laugh about. Like overall, I've then multiplied that number by 30 because there's approximately 30 days most months, and you get £52.50 per month to run my grow lights, which I don't think is that bad, seeing as this is my job and technically this is an expense for me. I do pay part of my home electricity bills with good growing money because I am using my home. I work from home. I run electricity in my home a lot more, as you can see, when I'm using my grow lights, which I do quite frequently. So that is not that bad. Also, I should be saying that this is in the absolute height of winter. It is very early January at this point, and so the days are almost the shortest they can be. And so because my grow lights go on dependent on what time sunset is, they go on 2 hours before sunset. Because of that, the number of hours the grow light's on is going to be higher. Right now, my 17 grow lights are on between 8 hours and 15.5 hours a day. It depends on what area they're in. There is a big range in there, but in the deepest, darkest depths of winter, I'm spending about £50 a month on my grow lights, which is about £600 a year. But that's like maximum. I'm spending a lot less in summer, and I can do this experiment again in the summer if that's something that you would like. Do please let me know, because I think that would be definitely interesting, seeing the difference in my spending over the summer and winter because I'm using them so much less often. I'm using my grow lights, like some of them as little as like 2 hours a day, because if the sun is setting at like 9:30, they'll go on at 7:30 and then they'll go off at 10. That's 2.5 hours. So it really depends on what time the sun is setting, and so it will make a massive difference if I'm not using my grow lights as much. Also, I should note that there are some days in the UK, because it's so freaking dark and dismal in the winter, that I will have my grow lights on, all of them, all day, because it's just so dark, and I use them instead of the overhead lights. I don't like using the overhead lights in my house. They make me feel very uncomfortable, and they're not the warm, cozy vibes that I want to have in my home. At this point, I don't feel like I can live comfily in my home without the grow lights on. I'm kind of just a complicated houseplant with like more emotions, I think. I'm not sure if plants have tons of emotions. They might do. I know they can feel stress, but like I need the grow lights for me at this point. I don't think I can live without my grow lights in my home. And I like having them because they make my home feel like my home and feel cozy and feel like someplace I want to be. I was also interested to know how much it would cost to run a single grow light. And I don't quite have the data for that calculation exactly, but I think I have enough to estimate how much running a grow light would cost. I basically took the number 52.50 and divided it by 17 to get £3 a month. That is taking it on average. Each of my grow lights, they're different sizes, they're different wattages, they're different types of bulbs. I have some fluorescent, I've got some LED, I've got some more expensive ones, I've got cheaper ones. So like there's a lot of variety in there, but on average, it's going to cost £3 a month to run one of my grow lights. To be honest, I don't think that's that bad. It's also running, I guess, the average between 8 hours and 15.5 hours, so about 12 hours. £3 a month for 12 hours a day for one grow light isn't terrible, especially if you don't have a huge collection. If you can fit all of your plants in front of 1 or 2 grow lights a day, 1 or 2 grow lights in general, then £6 a month isn't terrible for 12 hours of light for your plants. And like I said, that is a very, very rough estimate. I don't think you can say it is exactly that, but approximately £3 a month isn't that bad. And I think plant parents who spend a lot of money on their plants and want their plants to succeed and be happy, spending that much per month, it's like spending costs on soil or like different pots or whatever. It's just another thing that you'd want to do to keep your plants happy and healthy. So I don't think that that's an unreasonable spend, even in a sort of cost of living crisis. That's just my opinion. I would much rather spend £3 and not get a cup of coffee out once in the month than get that coffee and not have my grow lights on. So that's a choice that I personally would make, and I think a lot of plant parents would make as well. If you wouldn't, let me know. I'd be curious to think if you think that is a reasonable amount, because like I said, this is just my opinion and from my experience from an experiment that isn't perfect. It's not scientific in any real way. I did my best to make sure that we didn't use our washing machine, we didn't use our oven. We cooked similar-ish meals both nights, and for lunch we heated up in the microwave for about the same amount of time. Like, the things are approximate. They're not all exactly, like, I couldn't make it exactly perfect. We live in this home. It'd be different if we weren't living here, but that is just kind of a general experiment. I was curious to see about how much it would cost, and I have gotten those numbers, and I think that they're interesting. Yeah, that is my whole experiment. I hope that you found this interesting. I definitely found it interesting and enlightening, and I had no idea that this is what the results were going to be. I knew I was definitely going to be spending more money on grow lights, but I didn't know quite how much per day. £1.75. Oh my goodness. Is that a lot? That's probably a lot. I don't regret it. I had so much more fun when the grow lights were on, and I felt so much more comfortable in my home when the grow lights were on. So, it's fine. It's fine. Everything's fine. It's fine. It's fine. Oh. Yeah. Anyways, that was my experiment. I really hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up down below and leave a comment on any other houseplanty things you'd like me to talk about in the future experiments you'd like me to do, like this kind of thing. Do you want me to do this in the summer when the lights are on less? Let me know, and I can try and make that happen for you. And also, don't forget to subscribe for more. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next time. Bye!